I am Jim with the Works RL channel. It's great to have you stop in. I have been a big fan of the Kobalt 24 volt Max Brushless line of tools. I started with a 1/2 inch impact wrench and liked it so much, I decided to go ahead and get that combo kit, which included the reciprocating saw, the work light, the drill driver, as well as a 1/4 inch impact driver. I have to take the winter tires off my wife's 2018 Subaru Forester, and I thought this is a good opportunity to use these Kobalt tools once again on camera. Right now, I'm just going to grab the 1/4 inch driver. We're going to throw a battery on here. We can check right here. We've got 3 bars. So I'm going to go ahead and use this, take those winter tires off, get the summer tires on, and I think we're still going to find out what works in real life is going to be these Kobalt tools. But let's find out for sure. Stick around so I can share some information pretty important about the batteries that are on these cordless tools. Of course, I've got to chuck both front wheels, front and rear, to make sure there's no rolling of this vehicle. And that's always the case, is safety has got to be paramount. Never have anything of your body underneath a jacked up vehicle. Never work under a vehicle that's only being held by a hydraulic jack. My Harbor Freight Daytona 3-ton jack has just been completely worth the money I spent on it. It is so secure lifting up a vehicle. In the manual, they talk about using the pinch welds that are indicated for doing a spare tire change on the road in an emergency, using the scissor jack that comes from the manufacturer with the car. But using the big Daytona jack, it's got such a big pad, it actually is somewhat flattening and bending that pinch weld when I use those spots. And for the rear, I'm using the rear differential, being careful not to use the cover. The cover looks to me like it's aluminum, and I wouldn't want to put that kind of pressure on the aluminum cover. But the housing itself looks like a hardened forged iron casing. So I think that's a safe place for me to be putting this. This is actually something very important to carry around when you have the winter tires on. This is a shallow walled socket that came with these third-party wheels when I bought the set with the winter tires on them. They have a very narrow area in which to put the socket. So the standard socket doesn't work, so they give you this adapter, very thin walled, but you got to make sure you carry that with you so you can always change that if you ever need to. That's very common to forget this or lose it, or leave it at the garage, and then you're out driving, have a flat tire, and you completely forget about this. So you got to keep it in the glove box, keep it with the wheels, and then when I take them off, I put them with the winter tires, and because the standard tires don't need that. I'm a big fan of these Tecton tools and their sockets. I do get a fair number of questions about what do I use for an adapter for this 1/4 inch. This is a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch impact adapter, so it allows me to put an impact 1/2 inch impact socket on and adapts it to the 1/4 inch, and it's the proper construction of metal for handling the impact. That I need this thin walled adapter to be able to take those lug nuts off. This is where I use that work light from Kobalt as well, just to look everything over. I like to see if there's any leaks of shocks, look at the condition of the bushings, control arms. Of course, the brake rotors and the pads. Try to get an idea of how much wear there's left on them. Look at the brake lines in particular, and basically just get the other wheel back on. I always like to hand snug all the lug nuts. You know, keep wiggling that wheel until I feel like it's seated properly, and these are somewhat snugged up. Now I'll use the impact wrench, put it on just the number 1 setting, and just not even take it home so much as just sort of snug them up a little bit. Really, I'll come back with the torque wrench. The torque wrench just allows me to quantitatively know how tight these bolts are, how tight these lug nuts are. Just as an example, so you think this is tight till you settle that wheel, and then you can snug it up even more. You try to make sure that wheel is manually situated fairly tight, you know, up against that hub. So that's why I like to do these by hand, to snug them up. Then I'll wiggle the wheel some more. Again, it's very important because you think you can tighten these down and think it's flat, but then get out on the road and find out this was kind of cocked a little bit. Even though the lug nuts felt tight, it's because they were tight while it was in a cocked position. So you just want to keep kind of wiggling around, and then I'll make sure these are snugged up by hand after I do that. In a star pattern again, opposites. Alright, we're going to lower it down until they just touch to keep the wheels from spinning. We've got the parking brake on, so now I'll just take the torque wrench. We'll set those up. So this is a torque wrench, and the big long ones like this have the ability to tighten things down even harder, and it gives a quantitative way of how much torque, which is how much tightening stress am I putting on a bolt or a nut, and that is specified by the manufacturer in their user manual. On this Subaru, it is 89 foot-pounds. So I'm going to set this and pulling back this collar and twisting this till I see 89. There we go, right there. You just want to use just the handle when you're turning. You place it on here and you just want to go till it clicks. And you just sneak up on it, as it's called, going round and round, equally tightening everything. It's still not clicking yet. Oh, there's a click. There's a click. There's a click. There's a click. There's a click, and then I like to make sure I get a click on every one again. And then I'll go back after we've driven the car maybe a couple dozen miles, and I will do this again just to be doubly sure that they didn't loosen up on us. And that's a torque wrench. Again, I'm just slowly tightening up each one little by little. Oh, there's a click. 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 Then we'll go around one more time. All right, we're torqued down. Let's lower it down. We just slowly let her out. All right, so we can take out the front wheel chocks. You can see how much that wants to roll. That's why it's good to have those. So we're done with the rears. We'll put them on the rear tires. less than 24 hours ago, we had some freezing sleet, freezing rain. I can't get over how warm this is today. It's 88 degrees in here. But that's actually leads me to my tip I wanted to leave you with. Temperature. Batteries like this, it's all about temperature. It says right in the manual, it tells you right in here, charge it, you need to do it between 41 degrees Fahrenheit and 104 degrees Fahrenheit. So you want to charge it in that temperature range. It's got a cold weather operation. It's 32 degrees up to 104 degrees of operating temperature. It even says if it's too cold that the tool may pulsate for a while because the battery's trying to warm itself up to get optimum temperature range for performance. My brother and I were out ice fishing and we took this work light with us, and it actually did a great job. It lit up everything we needed it to, and it was easily single-digit temperatures. It didn't fail us one time. But I'm going to tell you, this is the tip. Take care of these batteries, and here's the key to it. Even if you leave the tools out in your garage, take your batteries and just keep them on the inside of the garage door. Somewhere in the house that's maybe not quite as humid or hot as the garage might get, or wherever your workshop is. And I would say just keep them in some sort of area that's just not getting as huge a temperature fluctuation. Also, don't keep them in your vehicle. You look at the manual, it says don't keep these in the vehicle. These, I think, will last a lot longer. That's my prediction. It seems so very simple, but take care of your batteries. They'll take care of you. That's my tip. It's been great having you come by. I really appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up just to let me know that you are out there. And if you can subscribe, all the better. I love your comments down below. Tell me what you think about using these kind of tools for these kind of tasks around home, or what you're working on. I've gotten so many nice comments. People telling me what they're doing with their tools, and I love hearing about it. So keep it up. And again, for sure, I would say these Kobalt 24 volt Max brushless tools, it's one of those tools that I could simply say it works in real life.